This is Anthony Accardi at Transmitter Brewing. We're in Long Island City, New York, just a couple minutes outside of Manhattan.
Hey all, Amanda here, and welcome to episode 84 of Great Beer Adventure. Throughout this year, it is my goal to get to as many new places as I can. This week is the first of hopefully many different locations. I woke up bright and early on a Friday morning and flew down to New York to hit up as many breweries as possible. Seeing I didn't really know the area, I reached out to a couple of friends from New York for advice on where to start. A very wonderful lady named Melissa, who just so happens to be the chapter leader of New York City's Girls Pine Out, answered my call. She gave me a fabulous itinerary of breweries and bars, plus agreed to meet me for a few drinks. I really should have made a few phone calls before jumping on an airplane, but what the hey. Once I set up shop in my hotel, I called Transmitter Brewing just to make sure they were in that early. They very kindly allowed me to stop in and say hi and record it all. If you have been following along, you know that my very first question is, what is your origin story?
I homebrewed for a long time. Rob and I started homebrewing together. I don't know, it's probably 7 years ago now. We decided we'd make a go of it. I had another business in New York for 25 years that I was sort of ready to be done with. So we decided we'd try to start a small brewery. That was 3 years ago, right about now. We started much smaller than we are now even. Started with a 3-barrel system, and now we're on 7 hectoliters, so we basically doubled our brew house. The first year it was all nights and weekends, and then I came on full-time starting the beginning of the second year, and Rob came on full-time about a year ago now. So when we both live in Greenpoint, right across the creek behind us, and we thought we could open the brewery in Greenpoint. At the end of Greenpoint Avenue is a little park called Transmitter Park. That's named after the fact that WNYC, the public radio, moved their tower off of Manhattan Island in the late 30s or early 40s and transmitted their signal to Manhattan from Brooklyn, actually. We thought it was a cool name for a brewery. In the end, we couldn't find real estate there that was brewery appropriate, so we looked in Long Island City and stumbled on this space.
Next up, we want to know where we can find Transmitter beers.
It's complicated, but we do retail bottle sales on the weekends here. We pull out some of this equipment that you see and make room for a few more of these German picnic tables. So people come in, we do 3 small samples of beers that we have for sale, like very small, like 1 ounce samples of 3 different things. And people can hang out and share bottles, but we don't have a draft system here. So we're not selling pints or glasses of beer. People just share with friends. We do a lot of bottles. Usually about half a batch goes into bottles. Everything's hand-bottled, cork and cage, so it helps us spread the beer out into the world. So we're actually a teeny little brewery, as you can see. We'll make 750 barrels. We made 750 barrels of beer last year. We are in 5 states in the Northeast, so we're distributed in New Jersey. New York, we're self-distributed here in the city because that's allowed in New York. Upstate, we have a distribution partner with Remarkable Liquids. Massachusetts is Craft Collective. Maine is Vacationland. And we are in Connecticut with Serene as of recently. And Rhode Island soon enough. Our business model is basically to go wide and shallow. We don't expect to have our beer in every place that sells beer. It is specialty beer. It is large format. In the scheme of beer making, it is somewhat expensive, so we're able to spread beer out into the world and be able to service, that many states. So
let's find out a little bit more about what the gents at Transmitter Brewing are brewing.
Well, we name our beers, but we don't name them with words, we have a letter number designation. So in our naming scheme, the letter is the style designation. The number is the actual beer. So S stands for Saison. We've done 9 different Saisons. They can vary in yeast, hops, grain bill. It's not a very linear system in terms of like S1 is much different than S2. It's not a slight tweak generally. We play pretty fast and loose with style. We certainly make some of the Saisons are hoppier than might be traditionally made in Belgium. Some are more closely traditional. We have a deep mahogany one, so that is not necessarily traditional. We use the original style as a stepping off point for having fun. So we do Saisons. G is Golden Ale, loosely based on, we use Abbey yeast in the Golden Ales. Again, they can be anything from like a Belgian Pale Ale to more traditional sort of Belgian-style Golden. H's are Harvest, so they always have fruit in them. Usually, and at this point, those are all being fermented in red wine barrels to start. B stands for Black, so that sort of porter stouts. Again, like sometimes stainless steel, sometimes barrel conditioned or barrel fermented. W is Wheat or Wit, so things that use 40, 50, or 60% wheat tend to fit into that category. Right now, we have 5 different beers that, like we have a Goza, that's W4, but W1 is a Belgian-style wit that has grapefruit and black pepper. Since we don't brew flagships, we're able to sort of rotate through a really huge variety of beer and style. We make our beers pretty dry. As an overall generalization, that's important to us, that there isn't a lot of residual sweetness. I think that makes a more drinkable beer. We're certainly interested in having our beer served along food, again, as a wide generalization. The dry, our fermentation profile tends to be a little bit fruity. We tend to push the temperature up a little bit to get some fermentation fruitiness. Then we play with hops either to back up the fruitiness or add some floral herbaceousness with hops. You know, because we do so many styles, there isn't any one trait to the beers, I think, that's distinct. There is a yeastiness, though, that's important to us, that consider ourselves a yeast-forward brewery. So really, that's what drives the flavor profiles.
And of course, as we always ask, what is your first beer memory?
My dad worked as an industrial caterer. He drove a truck to construction sites. And I can remember in the summer, so he worked long hours, like leave at 5 and come back at like 8 or 9 in the evening sometimes. And I can remember in Central Jersey being a kid, I don't know if it was 7, 8, 9, like that sort of age range. But Dad would pull up. We'd be out playing in the summer evening. He would have to clean the truck, so you'd sort of try to be helpful. I'm sure we weren't, but and he would crack, I feel like it was a Budweiser, a can of Budweiser, and I would always take a hit off that. Yeah, he was okay with it. So, you know, it was delicious cold, and I always wanted to take a bigger slug than he ever wanted a 7-year-old to take.
A giant thank you to Transmitter Brewing for opening their doors for me early on a Friday morning. For more information, head to greatbeeradventure.com/084. Make sure to subscribe so you can hear all about the amazing beer locations we will be hitting up this year. And if you would like to start your very own beer adventure, text GBA to 31996 to learn more about our beer activity book. Until then, get out there and try something new. Chat with you soon, friends. If you want to see even more from our adventures, follow us on Instagram @GreatBeerAdventure. And be sure to subscribe to the show. That way, you won't miss a thing. Great Beer Adventure is part of the Great Pint Society. Cheers.